大家好，欢迎来到文美集团美国升学大讲堂。本期节目主题是2024年更多大学要求 SAT 如何备考。主讲人文美集团美籍顾问康奈尔大学面试官 Mr.Pierre， 希望您能喜欢。
Hi, this is Pierre for Wenmei. Today's topic is preparing to take the SAT. This video is meant more for people who are going to take the test for the first time, but it also contains useful information for people who have taken the test before. First thing I'd like to talk about is the idea behind the test. So, since many students will be coming from many different backgrounds and types of schools and programs, it's very hard to compare, let's say, a student's achievement in one particular school versus a school, let's say, in a different country. So what the SAT aims to do is to level the playing field by making students take the same test, so therefore they can be compared on the same criteria. The next thing I'd like to talk about is how should you start? What is going to be your approach in terms of taking the test, preparing to take the test? First thing is you should get to know the test. The test has changed format recently, with March 9th being the first time that the digital SAT was administered in the United States. And with that, there have been some drastic changes to the structure. I'll leave that for you to reference yourself. But if you want to see more information about the test and the changes, you should head to the College Board website and look up information about the test. So the structure now is very simplified. You have two types of sections, mathematics and reading and writing, instead of having three like before. And you have two modules of each. And the new thing for the digital SAT is that the test is adaptive. So based on how you do on the first module, you'll unlock the corresponding level of difficulty in the second module. So if you're doing really well in module 1, you'll tend to unlock the more difficult module 2. And the scoring scale will still be the same, and it will still be out of 1600. So that hasn't changed. And after doing that, becoming more familiar with the test itself, it's time to take a diagnostic test. So that would be a good first step to see what the questions are like, and also get a feel for like how long the test is going to take to finish and how you work through the test and the questions. You can use the results from the diagnostic test to guide your studying, to see what level you're currently at, and to see how much more work is going to be required for you to reach your desired score based on those colleges that you're applying to, of course. You want to aim to be above the median or average score for the school. So let's say you're looking at a school like Cornell University, for example, my alma mater. If the median SAT score is about 1500, then you want to be scoring, let's say, 20 to 30 points above that. And the better you do, then the more you're going to have better chances of getting in, just based on SAT score alone. But of course, you have to have everything else. The next thing I'd like to talk about is after you finish the diagnostic test and you want to continue to improve, and you still have, let's say, 100 or 200 points to improve before you can reach your target score, then the next thing I recommend is checking out the resources on College Board. And this includes things like Khan Academy. It includes things like looking at the other practice tests that are available and taking them and trying those as well. And after you do those things, then you're probably going to be ready to take the official digital SAT for the first time. Keep in mind that the first time is usually not the last time. You'll probably end up having to take the test a few times. So I would say at least 2 times. So the first one is kind of like a feeler. You want to see what the test is like. The difficulty can vary. That is something that you should expect. Like, for example, on a certain test date, the test might be a little bit easier for everyone than, let's say, on a letter test date. So you shouldn't be too harsh on yourself if you don't do too well the first time you take it. Luckily, you can still take it again and you can work and improve on those areas that you need to. So after you've taken the test the first time and you get feedback and you see your score, and this is the real thing we're talking about here, then if you're still not happy with your score, and of course you've already tried self-studying, then the other resource that you should consider would be SAT prep. In other words, SAT classes. Luckily, WinMei offers SAT classes. For example, I help WinMei with that myself. I am one of the SAT prep instructors, and I have seen the SAT change over the years from the original version to what it is now. So I've seen all types of questions, all types of formats, and how the test has changed. I've taken the different versions of the test myself, and I bring that experience. And the idea behind SAT prep is that you're going to get access to resources that would be more difficult to find on your own. You're going to get strategies and have an approach mapped out for every different types of questions. And you're also going to make your study more efficient. In other words, if there's something that you need to learn about, you'll be able to do it through guided instruction instead of having to figure it out from yourself, let's say from scratch. So that's the idea, that's the value of doing SAT prep. So what I wanted to show you now quickly is a section guide that I wrote myself for the reading and writing that was based on how students that I worked with, as well as students that I didn't work with, their feedback on the March 9th digital SAT. A lot of students remarked that they ran out of time and that the questions were difficult. So I decided to map out a lot of the different patterns and question types and have an approach, let's say a strategy for each one. So I wanted to share that. And this is obviously something that would be accessible to you if you do go ahead and do SAT prep in WinMei. So here's the guide. This one in this case is prepared by me. So I start with general information about the test, including pacing, the different domains covered on the test. This is the reading and writing section. The different skills you're expected to master. Give you an overview and strategies. This, for instance, the general approach will apply to every single question. This is going to be your go-to approach for every single question. Then we go over general strategies, things like process of elimination, reading the question first. And then when it comes to something like practicing, for example, I advocate for practicing with hard questions. I feel like you'll get a lot more mileage out of that. And from there, I map on to specific strategies that tells you how to deal with specific types of questions. So this is like the wording of the question, so you can identify what's the skill being tested. And then below that, I include a strategy, and I pretty much go through every single question type. And the SAT is mostly going to be patterns. So if you don't know the patterns, then you're going to have to figure it out on the fly, and that could take a long time. And then consequence of that is that you might not finish it on time, which is going to affect your score, obviously. So for the writing part, let's say for this grammar stuff, here are some of the patterns and ideas that they test. Proper nouns, main clause and supplementary phrase punctuation. And below that, I basically give you how they're going to be testing that concept and what the answer is going to tend to look like. So these are just patterns that you're going to learn and internalize and take with you to the test. So you can fall back on this. And there's some more below that. And then at the end, we include some more resources to practice, as well as grammar rules, a transition list, and a word list. Since vocabulary is still something that is tested, albeit more indirectly now. And the idea is that with SAT prep, after doing some SAT classes in a very structured way, you should be able to reach your target score. And in some cases, obviously surpass that. And that is basically what I wanted to go over with respect to taking the SAT for the first time, but also for those who have already taken the test but feel like they've hit a roadblock and can't get past that, let's say, current level of performance on the test, there is going to be a way to improve, and that would be through SAT prep. And luckily, WinMei has an excellent program in place for that. So feel free to contact us about that. And that's it for today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.
以上是今天全部内容，希望您喜欢。升学规划永远都不早，永远也都不晚，只要意识到了，我们就要开始行动。如果您对我们的服务感兴趣，欢迎联系我们，我们提供大学申请规划服务，帮助华人子女成人成才进名校。